Hey everybody, this is Palm Springs Cindy, and it is, it is a Monday, and it's almost 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. I have kind of a tummy ache, so I thought drank some Pepto-Bismol, and I thought I'm gonna do a video while I wait for my stomach to settle down. I get the worst acid indigestion. I had a nice salad earlier today, that's all I've had. And anyway, it's given me a bad tummy. So I'm glad I started my video by sharing that with you guys. TMI. Well, I was thinking about, coming on, and I've been really tired the last few days, partly because I'm not really doing anything. I'm not up and at 'em, so to speak. And so when I don't have someplace to go, when I don't have something to do, then I tend to just sort of be lazy. But I did shampoo my rugs. Don't ask me what I was thinking, you guys. I bought a rug for my living room because I do not like that beautiful shag carpet rug. In fact, I'll put a picture of it in here before I hang up. That beautiful shag, it was like a champagne/gold color. Well, I put it in my bedroom because I'll just be honest. Poppy and I would sit on the couch and watch TV. And sometimes if I had a tray, like snacks, popcorn, whatever, or if I gave her a treat, pieces of it would fall into that shag carpet. And you couldn't see it. You had to feel around for it and vacuum. Anyway, it was a mess. And for any of you that are thinking of getting a shag carpet like the one I bought, think again. So I moved it into my bedroom, and it's a beautiful rug. So of course it looks lovely in there, but then I needed to replace it. So I went to Home Goods, and I was looking at Home Goods for about 3 weeks. Every time I thought, oh, I really like that, I would take a picture of it, take a cushion from my couch, go back to Home Goods probably the next day, and see if it would look okay under my couch. Well, if it did, if I procrastinated, which I did 2 times, and when I went back to buy the rug, it was gone. So, son of a gun. So anyway, I thought, I bought a beautiful white wool rug. Well, what was I thinking? Of course, it's already getting dirty, but it's really only getting dirty right where we sit, where our feet sit. So that will be easy to shampoo. But I actually think I'm going to move the white wool rug into my guest bedroom because I'm redoing that. And if things work out, a company has approached me, and they're going to gift me a beautiful it's beige leather couch. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this couch because it's pretty new. Well, it's very new, but it's a mess. It's just dirty all the time because of Poppy and whatever. I needed to get an earth color heavy chenille type couch. Well, I'm hoping the beige leather will be very usable, very user-friendly and durable. Okay, I wanted to share 2 stories with you guys. I've been missing my grandmother. And so she was a very young grandmother. She had my mother when she was only 15. My parents came from, my mother's side of the family were very, very poor. And they basically lived in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Joe, Missouri. And so when my grandma, her name was Gladis, and when grandma had my mom, she was 15. Well, she ended up basically giving my mom, Jerry, to her mom, great grandma Annie. And great grandma Annie, but still had little kids at home. So as my grandmother, 15 years old, giving birth to my mom, she ended up, moving and dating and becoming a young woman on her own. And so my mother grew up with her grandmother. Well, anyway, then as my mother got married and the war was over and all that, they came together, and my grandmother always lived very close to us, only a few houses away, if that. In fact, at one point we were in a duplex with them. They lived in the front and we lived in the back. It was just my sister and I at that time, and my mom and dad. Okay, so, growing up with my grandma, she was just, she was a great grandma. I've shared stories of how she let me smoke cigarettes when she babysat me. She had these pastel colored cigarettes with gold filters, and if she probably babysat me 3 times in my whole life. But one time when she did, actually it happened twice. My parents, I think, went to Las Vegas for New Year's or something, and she babysat me. I don't know where my older sister was, but she let me smoke. I don't even think I asked us to do it, but she said, "Oh, here, honey, have a cigarette." Well, anyway, that's the kind of grandma she was. She was a hoot and a half. She was very stylish, very fashionable. And so anyway, when I was, I went to Riverside City College. It was 1968 to 71, I'll say. And then I transferred over to San Diego State University. And then from there, I've got my degree and actually later on went back for some grad work. Okay, anyway, here's what I want to get to. When I graduated from Riverside City College, my grandmother took me to Hawaii. It was my grandmother and 3 lady friends. So it was 4 adults and me, and I was 18. So I think I was 18. I could have been just 17. Well, anyway, so we went to Hawaii. I have no idea why she took me. She paid for everything, and it was so fun. So here's part of the story. My grandmother had these very fashionable girlfriends. In fact, my grandmother and grandfather eventually, in that duplex that we lived in, it was right by the Los Angeles airport. And they eventually built an apartment complex, only 4 units in the back, because it was on quite a bit it was like at the end of a cul-de-sac, and they had property, and the backyards were very big. So my grandfather built an apartment complex, and so we had pilots and airline stewardesses that would rent these units. They were lovely. They had great parking. Okay, they were right by the airport. Okay, so anyway, my grandmother had some real fancy friends. So, okay, we go to Hawaii, and she's with her fancy friends and me. So they had the bedrooms, and I slept on the pull-out couch. Fine with me. I was thrilled to be in Hawaii. I'm not sure if it was the first time I'd ever been there, probably. So in the morning, all I wanted to do was go to the beach. And all you had to do was take the elevator down and walk out, and there was the sand and there was the water. So in the morning, I woke up first. I fixed their coffee. So, when you're still half asleep, but you can smell the coffee brewing. And then I made a big pot of scrambled eggs. So I ate some of the scrambled eggs, and then there was always some left over, enough for the gals to have when they woke up if they wanted, maybe add a piece of toast or whatever. So that was like my job, and they loved it, and it was, something easy for me to do. So I would go down to the beach every day. I was probably down there by 10:30, easy. By the time I had breakfast, brush my teeth, wash my face, whatever. And I just loved it. Well, it was summer. And there were a lot of gals, a lot of people my age there, because they were going there for graduation gifts, like a graduation getaway kind of a thing. So I met these 2 really fun gals, because remember, I was by myself. So I just with my towel down there and sitting at the beach, I met these 2 cute gals, and they were from LA, I think. Well, their parents had sent them to Hawaii for a birthday present or a graduation gift. So I at least had someone to hang around with, to go to lunch with, to go have a Coke with, or whatever. Well, actually, the 2 gals' parents had bought them an extra ticket. It was $12 to fly to Maui and back. Like to leave the big island, Oahu, fly to Maui. I think it was Maui. It could have been Kauai. Anyway, fly to Maui and back. And they asked if I would like to join them, that they already had the room. I would have to pay for my plane fare and my food and stuff. So I asked my grandmother, she gave me the $12, and I joined them, and we had so much fun. Anyway, it was very fun. Well, it was in the days of, my grandmother did say to me, "Honey, I want you to go to dinner with us gals at least one night. We're going to have one really fancy dinner and make plans to join us. Okay, I don't know. Okay, and it was when Don Ho was playing, and they had all those, tiny bubbles and all those Hawaiian songs. We went to luau. We did everything Hawaii tourists would do. Plus, then I had my two new girlfriends. Well, then there were also guys on the beach. So I met this darling guy named Russ. And I have told the story before, so if you've heard it, you can hang up. I met Russ, and Russ and his buddies were there as a graduation gift. Maybe just a summer gift, because he had some money, and he was gorgeous. Well, anyway, they would sit with us, at the beach. They were a group of guys. They were walking all over the beach, but sometimes they'd sit down with us and chit chat, and then they'd go sit down with somebody else. Well, anyway, he asked me. He was from San Marino, I think. Where they have the Rose Parade. That's where he was from, Pasadena. So, and actually, his father was the mayor. And he went to USC. Well, he asked if I would go to the USC-UCLA football game with him when we both got back from Hawaii. And I was like, yeah. So, and we did. He came, I lived like 2 hours away from where he lived, but he had a Corvette. He drove out to get me. We drove back. We went to the USC game. It was so fun. And he took me into his dorm room. They were having parties and everything. And he drove me all the way home that same night. I probably didn't get home till 1 a.m. or something. But I never did. We talked on the phone a few times, but I never really went out with him again. I don't think I went out with him again. And I think I probably wanted to, because he was such a catch. He was so cute, but whatever. So that, then when I went away, okay, so that's when I graduated from Riverside City College. Well, then I transferred to San Diego State. So when I got to San Diego State, I was a transfer junior, which means I started like the Feb 1 or something, right after Christmas vacation. And I lived in the dorm, and I lived in Zura Hall. And Zura Hall, remember, this was like 1969 or something. At that time, Zura Hall had, I want to say 4 floors, but there were more. But it had just turned into the only co-ed dorm. And so I was like, how does that work? But this is how it worked. They had like first floor boys, second floor girls, third floor boys, fourth floor. I was on the 4th floor. I was on the all-female floor. But the boys could come in and use our bathrooms and stuff, which I thought was creepy, because each floor had, I'm going to say, one giant bathroom with the showers and the toilets and the sinks. And then some of the rooms towards the end of the hall had their own private bathrooms. I didn't have my own private. In fact, the bathrooms were right across the hall from me and over one. So I was kind of in a good location. But I thought, I can't go in there and shower. What if, of course they had those plastic shower curtains, but who wants to do that when there's a guy in there? I think it only bothered me maybe once that whole semester was I ever walked in there and just turned around and walked out. So I thought, oh, there's a guy in there. But, so after that was such a fun semester for me, being away from home for the first time, living in the dorm. And of course, you meet friends from the dorm and everything because you're all living together. Well, then it was summer, so I went back home for summer, and I had a summer job. I always had a job at this place called Fares Hardware Store, Fares. It was on 6th Street in Corona, for any of you people who happen to know where I'm talking about. Corona, California. And so it was owned by the Fair family. And they always, even when I was at Riverside City College, I worked Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. And those 4 days, that was my money. That was my, I could spend it on myself for clothes, for lunches out, be with my girlfriends, whatever. I had a car my dad gave me. He had a company car. It was a Firebird. It was beautiful. It was green, this beautiful green, black vinyl top, black interior. And he had a gas credit card. And he told me, he said, if you go to college, you can drive my company car. That'll be like your car till it gets taken away from me. Because he had a nice car and my mom had a nice car. So I was like, really? So of course I did. And so that was my car. But when I went to San Diego State, I couldn't take it with me. I didn't have a car. So I had to get a job when I went back to San Diego State for my senior year. Actually, the other half of my junior year, I had to get a job. So I got a job at a I just looked in the paper. I got a job at Kelly's Steakhouse in Mission Valley. Mission Circle, I think it was called. Mission Valley Circle, something like that. Once again, you guys will know. And that's when the football was really big and that big famous coach, Don Corleone or something, was the coach for San Diego State. So it was really a hip and happening area. Well, the place where I worked, it was really nice. It was a steakhouse, and it was called Kelly's Steakhouse. They only sold, on the menu, there was only steak, lobster, and prime rib. And then they had baked potatoes and a salad and French bread. And they had a special called Chateaubriand for $2. And it was, I think at that time, it was $4.99 or something. And they would bring it out on this, it would be sizzling, and it would be on this metal plate, and then the metal plate would be on a wood plate, and it was truly for $2. It was this big Chateaubriand, and the cook had cut it nicely, and baked potatoes, and then beautiful little salads, and a big basket of French bread, and then each person got a split of champagne. So that was the big popular meal. So I had to get to work at 4. I had to get to work about 4, I think. And they were changing from lunch to dinner. So it was me and 2 other gals my age, and we all happened to be in the teacher program at San Diego State. So we were all, we were close. We were, like I said, same age, studying the same thing, shared about our classes, our courses, our instructors. And it worked out perfectly because once again, I worked Thursday nights 4 to actually 2 in the morning because they closed at, they didn't close till, they closed the restaurant at midnight. And then we had to stay, it was always 2 of us, me and one of the other gals. We'd have to stay and close out the register. We had certain chores we had to do, certain side work we had to do. And then the bar didn't close, and that's the part I want to talk about. The bar didn't close until 2 in the morning. So, but when we were done in the restaurant, then we did our stuff, then we could hightail it home. So really, I only had one bad morning, and that was Friday morning, because I was, I had to work late Thursday night. And then Friday night, I worked 4 to midnight, Saturday, 4 to midnight, Sunday, 4 to midnight. Sunday, they closed early, so I got home earlier. So, but the good news was we got a free meal. So Mr. Rutherford, the owner, said, everybody that works here, you come in early and you talk to Kuko. That was the cook. You talk to Kuko and you put your order in. What do you want? You want a steak, you want lobster, you want prime rib. What do you want him to fix for your dinner that night? And he said, all I ask is that you don't have lobster and prime rib every night. And actually, I would go in and fix my own salad and maybe have that was my thing, salad and baked potato. And then if I wanted, like Kuko would say, don't you want, he'd hold up his tongs with a little piece of meat, steak on it. And he would say, you want this or whatever. And then I go, sure. So, but if I knew like I was poor and short at the end of the month, I could, I always ate really well because I could have steak and eggs the next morning, or I put the potato, maybe I wouldn't eat my potato or eat half of it and take the rest of it home. So it was a nice job for us gals to have. So after and sometimes when the owners left, they were always there, and they had their Chateaubriand for $2. They always sat in booth 1, and they were adorable. They were really a nice couple to work for. They had no children, and he was quite a bit older. They both seemed like they were 100 years old to me, but I'm sure they were like in their 60s. And she always wore a wig, and it was so cute. You know, it was like pull like this, and then it was like this and down, but then this side flipped up. And she always was very well manicured, beautiful jewelry, beautiful clothes. And his Mr. Rutherford just doted on her. And he would say, there's my queen, there's my princess, whatever. So after they would leave, so then Dave, the bartender, would sit, you know, like look at us and say, you guys want a drink? And sometimes we would say, yeah, we'll have a glass of wine or whatever. And then, but here's the fun part. Okay, so they had a piano bar. And the piano bar, oh my gosh, was the life of the restaurant, as any piano bar is. So there was a Dave, the bartender, and then I forget the name of the piano player. Anyway, he was older too, and he always wore a suit, sport coat. And you know, they had the big, it reminds me of that Billy Joel song about something sat at the bar with a friend of mine. The regular crowd rushes in. It was exactly like that. Every person that showed up for you know, they never had dinner or anything, but they would drink. They'd come and they'd sit around the piano bar. Each person had their own spot. And they would pass that microphone around, and each person had like their little cadre of songs. Maybe they had 4 songs. Each person specialized in their 4 songs. And that's how I learned the entire American songbook. That's all they sang. And then of course, the later the night went on, they'd been drinking, they'd get louder and louder. But it was so fun. And just the music and the people, they were such characters, you know, just each one was their own little caricature of a person coming to the bar, enjoying singing, and they all had really great voices. The bar was too crowded to dance or anything like that. And in fact, a lot of the famous, like Pete Rose, and I don't even remember the other ones, but they would come to Kelly's. And the Rutherfords would say, you know, these celebrities will be here tonight. We're, you know, make sure you seat them over here in the back where it's darker, that they don't want to be known. They don't want people to know they're here. They want to be left alone. We're like, okay. So it was kind of fun because because the menu was so great, and the steaks, well, the food was delicious. So anyway, that was, you know, I have fond memories. And there's a song that just came on that prompted me to do this video by Perry Como. And I remember hearing it in Hawaii when I was there with my grandmother, and when I met that guy named Russ. And it's called And I Love You So. And I Love You So. Now, there are 2 songs that were popular at that time. But the one by Perry Como is the one that I'm talking about. And it's slow, and it's dear, and it's romantic. And so whenever I hear that, it's on my playlist. So whenever I hear that, I always reminisce to that time in my life when I had graduated from Riverside City College, and I met 2 wonderful girlfriends, and I met Russ, who took me to the UCLA football game. It's fun as we get older to think about our past and memorable times that bring a smile on us. Just like I've shared with you tonight, a fun memory, a memory that brings me pleasure. Please share a memory of yours that brings you pleasure and brings a smile to your face. I would love to hear about it. Okay, thank you. Yes, I love you. Mwah. Until our next conversation. Bye-bye.